ago, a coalition of left-wing groups in New York State announced an effort to enroll 50,000 new voters in New York State to try to swing the elections this fall in their direction. The future of this movement is with our young people, and that's why our next speaker, Josh Hawley, is one of the national leaders of the young conservatives in the United States. He has an internet talk show, a radio talk show. He's a great guy. Please join me in welcoming Josh Hawley. There's voter registration over there, by the way. I'm going to do something a little different. I don't have any notes at all. I have a bumper sticker. But I wanted to do something different because this movement is experiencing a change. The flag says, "Don't tread on me." It does not say, "Vote for the lesser of two evils." It does not say, "Tread on me lightly." It says, "Don't tread on me." This movement, as the previous speakers have mentioned, we're dealing with some image issues. We're dealing with some message issues. And those issues are based around the fact that we've let other people define the conversation. When this started scaring the Republicans, which is what this grew out of, it does not say Republican bus, it says Liberty bus. When this started scaring the Republicans, it was because of the message. It was because of the "Don't tread on me." They started making fun of that flag. When this started scaring Democrats, it's because we started appealing to liberals too. And everybody's saying, "Wait a second, wait. We have liberals and conservatives getting together? That can't be." And what were we united around? We were united around freedom. We were united around liberty. And that message has changed. That message has shifted. And we've allowed them to once again decide this conversation. When I was on my way in, people told me, "Well, you have to be careful. There's some candidates running, and anybody but Obama," and all these other messages that they told me. Don't be too divisive. Let me tell you something. I'm not here for a party. I'm here for principles. I'm not here for a politician. I'm here for the people. And if the politicians don't like it, too bad. Because it's you who have to live with their decisions, not the other way around. So let's start redefining this conversation a little bit. One of the things that is brought up is taxation, right? T, taxed enough already. That was kind of like the hook. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. But it wasn't exactly the tax that had us mad. It was the fact that they would step on us, the people, in order to do it. They've been taxing us for a long time. If it was the tax, we would have been protesting Bill Clinton. We would have had a Tea Party for Jimmy Carter. But we didn't. It was once they started limiting those freedoms, we started to become activists. And this party grew. This movement grew. This is not a Mitt Romney rally. It's not a Ron Paul rally. It's not a Republican rally. It's a Tea Party rally. And it's made up of people like you. One of the things that we had as a movement in 2010 when we experienced tremendous growth, we had the conversation wrapped up. We were dominating the conversation. We started talking about things like the TSA. Well, isn't it funny? We nailed the 2010 election cycle, and then the conversation shifted off the TSA? Nobody's mentioned it yet. Are they worse or better than they were in 2010?
Worse.
Worse. Then why did we stop talking about it? Why did we let them dictate this conversation? Let me tell you something about the TSA. The TSA creates terror targets. They do. If we look at Tennessee where they started putting in highway checkpoints, the purpose of those checkpoints is to make sure nobody's driving around with a bomb in their car. And evidently leaders that be in Washington have never heard of on and off ramps, because if you were a terrorist, you just go off the highway, go around the checkpoint, get back on the highway, and you miss the TSA. So what is the TSA really there for? It's for control. I mean, if we really thought about it, if they're going to stop 100 cars, they just created a terror target. The terrorists were like, "Oh, I know where 100 cars are. Let's go bomb that." So we have to redefine this conversation. And if we look at this bottle, this is my notes, my only notes. Fiscal responsibility, constitutional free markets.
Ron
We
Paul.
talk about, yeah, exactly. We talk a lot about the fiscal responsibility part. But even there, we've dropped the ball. We've started fighting our neighbors again and saying, well, I want to be taxed 23%, and, well, you should only be taxed 22%. How about this? How about we unite as people against the person who goes to tax it? Not argue about how much is being taxed. Argue about the tax itself. And that's why this movement is actually growing, whether you're going to be part of it or not. The Tea Party has to make a very strong decision at this point. Because liberty is growing. Freedom, the freedom message is growing. There are rallies all around the country right now called Freedom Rally and Liberty Days and all that other sort of stuff because they get it. It's not about conservatives getting together. And those other speakers hinted at the same thing. We have to drive the conservative message, the socially conservative message. Not because I don't want you to be socially conservative. But we've come to this place where we want the government to do it for us. What good is it to argue for regulation, for social conservative values, and then say, oh yeah, I'm for freedom, I'm for liberty, I'm for America? That's not for America. America's having liberty so you can disagree with the idiot who lives next door. And protecting his right to be an idiot. We have to get back to a place where we decide who's going to run, not them decide how they're going to run us. In 2010, I was optimistic, man. I thought, oh, here we go. Here we go. 2010 is going to be a shockwave. And then what does the conservative media do? They prop up candidates that 4 years before they told us we're too liberal to run, and then the Tea Party swallows it. That's pathetic. And I get it, there's some supporters for every candidate in this room. Awesome. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're American. You have the right to be an idiot, remember? But when we look at the candidates, we can't say, okay, yeah, don't tread on me, unless you're the lesser of two evils. We have to break that cycle. Lesser of two evils is still evil. Yeah. You know, a lot of people like to say, well, I'm a fan of the Constitution. And there's not a candidate on earth who's going to say, well, I'm not. Okay, maybe there's one. But for the most part, the people who are going through your votes are never going to say I'm against the Constitution. So just because they say they're for the Constitution doesn't mean they actually are. You have to look at their actions. You have to look at their voting records. You can't have a candidate who has had an amazing conversion 4 years ago and now wants to be a front runner and then just let him walk away with it. If we look at issues that really matter to that youth that the Tea Party movement has lost, because they were here to stay. But we've lost them. And the reason we've lost them is because we've gotten away from the message that's important to them. People did not die for a lesser tax. People did not die for limited property ownership. They died for real property ownership. They died for a real future. And we're taking that away when we let them dictate the conversation. Whether it's a security issue or we're no longer secure, think about this. Just think about this for a second. What does it mean to be an American? It means you're free, right? We are the last bastion of hope. There's nowhere else to go. When this nation falls, there's not another, unless we go to Mars or something with nukes, there's nowhere else to go to start over again. If this falls, we're done. And they've convinced us to regulate it away. Regulation, good or bad, is like a loaded weapon. It's always dangerous. Always. Regardless of if it's a regulation you like or regulation you don't like. So we look at regulation and we look at an issue like security, they have us completely afraid, oh man, I'm going to get killed by a terrorist. What is a terrorist objective? There's no terrorist in the world who really honestly believes that it's going to bring down a nation that spans over 3,000 miles, has 300 million people in it. The goal of a terrorist is to create enough terror where you will voluntarily regulate yourselves. Newsflash, they won. If I was a terrorist somewhere in a cave, I'd be thinking, wow, this was a lot easier than I thought. Scare them just a little bit and they'll just roll over. They don't believe in this flag. What does it say? Liberty or death. Patrick Henry said, give me liberty or death. And when we get to this point where we want to regulate away our freedoms under the false illusion of being secure, even when Newt Gingrich himself in a recent debate said there's no way we can actually secure you anyway, then what are we really after? I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees. I don't want to dictate the conversation for you either. But the media is going to try, and the candidates they certainly are going to try. And they're going to dictate this conversation to the point where they convince you, oh, we have to choose the lesser of two evils. We have to hope that at least the high guy wins. That's the wrong attitude to have. The message the Tea Party should be expounding on this country should be, you know what? If you don't elect the person that we actually feel that represents us, you lost us. Right now they think they can count on you anyway. They think, well, we can do whatever we want to do because at the end of the day, they're going to say something immature like anybody but Obama. I say the Tea Party should say nothing less than freedom. Not anybody but Obama, but nothing less than freedom. Nothing less than freedom. That I endorsed one of the candidates. I endorsed Ron Paul. Someone had to choose freedom, right? And it's not because I wanted to. It's not because I wanted to. It's because there was nobody else up there for us to choose from that had freedom in his heart. I didn't want to go with Ron Paul. I had to go with Ron Paul.
Yeah!
No, not Mitt Romney. Anybody? Wait. Hold on.
Like Obama?
If you want to elect Mitt Obama, Barack Obama, Mitt Romney, then what you have to do is take a look at what freedom actually is. That's all right. Because I'd rather die on my feet. I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. And I told you.
Quiet down.
I told you that freedom is the most important message. Not everybody likes freedom, but I'm not here for them. I'm here for you.
Hey, don't you think he should be running for something?
It's a great country and it's a great movement. There's going to be differences of opinion, but at the end, come November, we all know what the mission is, and I think we're all going to be on the same page for that. Speaking of